You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection. It shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Eye on the Target Radio and another glorious Sunday. How are you doing?
Good. It's raining on my Sunday.
Sometimes the flowers need that.
Oh.
So sometimes rain is not bad. So get over it. Get over it. There you go. I have to say that in doing some research for today's show, John Petrolino, who is one of my favorite authors, he started a whole conversation in an article that he wrote that says, whenever I'm chatting with someone who keeps themselves politically disconnected, and then they start to talk about how they like or don't like something, and and they're like, yeah, but I'm not political. The other day, Rob and I were having a lunch chat with somebody, and they were like, sorry, forgive me for talking politics. And I'm like, you're talking to Rob and I. Once you start to get active in the Second Amendment, you get active in a lot of other things.
And politics is a lot like the Super Bowl. I mean, we watch this stuff, and it's like, if you know the names of the players and you understand the thing, one guy's team gets the ball. His job is to try to make as much yardage as he can. The other guy's job is to try to stop him every chance he can, right or wrong. You have no friends in this Super Bowl. Even if you had a really good idea, we can't really back you in this. So because
that's on the wrong team.
So you have to step on your head right here
because you're on the wrong team. But when our team has the ball, we may do that idea.
Right.
But we're not giving you credit for it. You're not getting points for it.
It's just a big game like this, and you can bet on it almost. I mean, you know who's playing.
I don't think you're supposed to bet. Can you bet on politics?
I don't. I would imagine you probably can. I bet you, especially if you check with Las Vegas, they got something going on with Trump every minute.
I bet that there is something about who's going to be the next president, and you can.
But there's a lot of bizarre stuff goes on, but it's the same thing. It's just a football game that they play in suits instead of in padding.
Right, and it's just I'm gonna forward whatever's happening with my team, and I thought that is exactly the answer. I mean, so we were talking to him about guns and politics and Supreme Court.
Ohio's going through this new. We're trying to tighten up the
Constitution.
The Constitution so that it can't be changed easily.
Willy-nilly, I think is the word.
And they're saying the outside people are coming in and spending a lot of money trying to make it so they can change Ohio's Constitution. So why, right away, as soon as you see that it's outside money, you got to ask, why is it that they give a hoot?
Yeah, thank you. A hoot. Don't pollute. Give a hoot. No. And so I think that the telling tale in that is there's very few states that allow citizen-led initiatives that only involve a little bit of the state. So many states don't allow citizen-led initiatives. Ohio does. And then Ohio, you only need a 50% plus one vote margin to get something through and a constitutional change. What they found in Ohio was that in many cases, it was easier to get a bill for a constitutional change than it was to get any other legislative bills going through. So our Constitution actually has in it that outside of Ohio, non-Ohioans are the only people who can own gambling venues within Ohio. And it's written in Ohio's Constitution. That right there should tell you that, hey, something's broken. But the interesting part is that there's groups who have tried to make it a singular issue, and they've tried to make it about right to life. They've tried to make it about marijuana and recreational marijuana.
They're staying away from the gun issue for some reason. I mean, it's just now starting to come out, but
the mayor, is it the mayor of Cleveland? So the mayor of Cleveland said, Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb said that if issue 1 fails in Ohio, that they are going to use a constitutional ballot initiative to come after the Ohioans' guns. And so he said the quiet part out loud. And that they are now going, this is an issue. He shouldn't have said that, because now Buckeye Firearms is involved, the NRA is involved, there are other groups. So there are other groups that are truly involved. And as one of our listeners says, guns are an instrument of liberty, and politics will not leave the Second Amendment alone. So guns are politics, and politics is about guns. Exactly. And so it's just really interesting watching the jockeying for position that is happening in the state. We're having a special election in the state of Ohio next week, Tuesday, to find out. And it's a singular issue to try to find out. What's really funny about this? So if it is a singular issue, then that would be issue 1 on the ballot, right? I am reading articles. So they're written by reporters, not editorials, not letters to the editor, articles.
Or opinion pieces.
Right. Articles that are talking about issue 3. I'm like, go right ahead and vote whatever you want to vote on issue 3, because there is no issue 3. So, folks, check your work. That's kind of all I got to say. Either that or they're rehashing. I don't get it. But
well,
okay.
The thing is that they're going to find out how popular this is, because they're saying that there's a record number of people are out early voting. So
there are people who have come to my house asking for a sign. And so I finally just gave them the one in my yard, because there are no more signs available, right? I mean, so now you're seeing the last couple days of this election cycle. Now you're seeing signs move, because it's like, well, it's already been on that corner for enough that a lot of people saw it. So let me move it to a new corner. So there's the whole, now we're jockeying for position of signs. But remember, whether you are an Ohioan or whether you are in another state, signs do not equal votes. The only thing that equals votes is you getting off the sofa and taking a stand on the things that are critical and important to you. And so if you do not take a stand, then the other guy gets to drive the bus, and you are along for the ride, whatever that ride does, wherever that ride takes you. And that's kind of it, right?
Right. So use your vote wisely.
Right. Get off the sofa. Go do that. But it's pretty interesting. So let's see. So somebody has gone to John Petrolino's thing. Bibb's quote: "We can use our real political power to change the culture of guns in this state. It starts by voting no on issue 1." So that's where the mayor of Cleveland, he's said the quiet part out loud, and he really shouldn't have, because he does not realize the strength of rural Ohio. There are the 3 C cities, and then there's the rest of us, and the rest of us are pretty darn pro-Second Amendment.
The city.
We do not want to be the city. No, we are not. We've talked before about the fact that the neighboring community is so they don't want to be the city, they don't want to be the city, that they've actually even voted their zoning committees away, because they're like, we don't want you telling us what to do. Just leave us alone. And you were
to make me want to move over.
You were picking nits, and I don't want to play, so you're gone. You were absolutely gone. And I can see where that's headed in a couple other communities. There is a community near us that is now sending letters to people because their lawn is not short enough.
I'm going to sell my place to a rock crushing plant, and then I'm going.
You're going someplace else? You're going to go live in a non-zoning community. You're going to be like, you're not the boss of me. That's going to be, we're going to see him. That's how he's going to be. All absolutely all over that. Can't you just see him doing that little, the 2-year-old dance of the "You're not the boss of me"?
Yep, you're not the boss of me.
I can see it. I can see it hard. So I'm just going to say one last time, if you are an Ohioan, Tuesday is the election. So today, you could go vote today, and then when the polling locations at the Board of Election closes, then you cannot vote. You have to vote at your polling location on Tuesday. The Monday before election, there is no advance.
Set your alarm so you remember to get up on Tuesday.
Right. It's really a long period of time. You should be able to get up somewhere on Tuesday. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so back talking about safer communities, the 2022 Safer Communities Act. So Congress, and I say this very loosely, in their infinite wisdom, because there isn't any, we'll just say there isn't any. They passed the 2022 Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. So I don't remember who stepped over the line to make it bipartisan, but there were a few who did. And so now, since 1965, elementary and secondary education, the 1965 Elementary and Secondary Education Act had funding in it that should a school want to do something with archery or with firearms or things of that sort, they could do that. Based on the 2022 Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, they have pulled all of that out. So the Department of Justice is the group that's in charge of this. And so now they have defunded hunting programs. So any school that was teaching hunting, the hunter safety, the Appleseed programs, the archery programs in schools. And I know that there were some schools that had rifle teams. All of that funding has been pulled. According to the Department of Justice, they said that the Department, DOE, the Department of Education's interpretation of the Safer Community Act is that none of the funds can be used for training in the use of dangerous weapons. And so the bill sponsors insist the language is meant to prevent school districts from using the funds to train school resource officers. Which, why? We'll just go into why, but okay, we'll move right on it. But the Department of Education maintains that since hunting and archery both use dangerous weapons, the funding on these programs is also now officially off limits. What's your thought?
I'd say that they probably could go to saxophones and harmonicas too, because some of that is terrible when you.
Oh, so we have had children with their band practice in their bedroom. And you're saying that that's extremely painful?
Yep.
Yes, got it. Okay, I get it.
I think it classifies as some kind of torture under the Geneva Convention.
So, yeah. So all of a sudden, there are a couple different senators, Senator John Tester from Montana, Senators Cornyn and Tillis. They are, they're pushing back.
Well, a lot of them were like, "Oh, I didn't read that in there. I didn't read this at all." And
I didn't read this at all. I didn't get to that. So they said this isn't the congressional intent. Hunting and archery classes should be eligible for funding and not penalized. And so they're going to try to fix it, but we'll see what happens. But really, seriously, so many levels of in their infinite wisdom. Yeah, so one of our listeners is like, I'm surprised that any of the shooting sports are still Olympic events. I know each and every year you're waiting to see which ones they peel out because they don't think that this is a good idea or that's a good idea. And it's like, is there any other hobby that has been vilified the way that...
Some of the countries won't even allow their Olympians to train in their own country. So that I know the English had to send their Olympians to France to
train.
Actually even shoot the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right, yeah, no, I know that. One of the international shooting events, Russia sent their people, but the country that Russia was sending their people to wouldn't allow Russians to bring guns because that would be an act of war. So the Russians came, but they couldn't bring guns, so they had to borrow guns, and so others let them borrow their guns. So can you imagine shooting in an international event where just the
having to borrow someone else's gun to do it with?
Right.
So you have to almost give them what do they call it, a handicap points for.
I've shot other people's guns, and it's like, well, it takes you a little bit of time to figure it out. So unless they convince another country to bring extra guns that they just get, right? So it's not like, oh, you're shooting it when you're done. Can I borrow it for a minute? That's not how. No.
I'm surprised that's not against the law too, because it's getting into where in regular life you can't. You can't borrow someone's gun for a couple minutes.
No, they're working. They're definitely working on that part of thing where, oh, well, in order for me to borrow your gun, I'm going to have to do a transfer of that gun.
Background check and whatever that red flag stuff.
Yeah, all that. So we're going to do a NICS check for you to be able to hold my gun, and then we're going to have to do a NICS check for me to be able to hold my gun. And do they not see the ridiculousness of this?
Well, they're just trying to inconvenience you to the point where you just say, forget it.
It's not worth it. Never mind. Forget about it.
I'm going to take up billiards instead.
I don't know. I tried golf once. That was not.
Piano.
Yeah, no. I can tune a fish better than I can tune a piano. So no, yeah, not that too is not my thing. I have no idea why I have zero sports ability. Yet I'm a pretty decent shot.
You are.
Maybe it's the interest.
You got to give a crap, as they say.
Right. So I gotta, I have to have a care. No, I had a job once where they insisted that I took golf lessons, and I'm like, do I get hazard pay for this? Because I don't want to have to. Can't I just drive the golf cart and deliver the beer?
I could pull a muscle or something. Then.
I didn't. Well, they finally settled to where I got to have 2 afternoons off a week to go for golf lessons because I was like, I'm not doing it on my time. You know, if you're going to make me do this, if the company insists, then the company insists. It is not something where
I'm under duress.
Right. There was no doubt about it. And I was not good at it. We'll just say I didn't want to be there, and I was not good at it at all. And I never
graduating from PU, huh?
I never got better. I got to the point where I understood the rules, but I never got better. So you have to explain to people what PU was, and you got 15 seconds.
Well, we were doing paintball, and I needed insurance, and I had to go to Paintball University, I believe it was in Tennessee, to graduate from there. So
we'll be back. Right
get insurance.
Your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Okay, so more stuff happening at the Supreme Court level. Have you been watching? Have you been paying attention?
Oh, I've been watching all that stuff. It's driving me crazy.
So why? Why is it driving you crazy?
The one thing is Bruin. They keep saying that Bruin doesn't allow for people to grow as a community. So they're taking us back to 1791 and saying that they've blocked the law and you can't change anything. But in reality, we need to keep the criminals from growing. And if you treat a criminal like a criminal, then you don't have to do anything with the gun because the gun can handle itself. So it's when they look at these things and they say, well, this guy has been a long time repeat offender for some reason or whatever. If he cannot be rehabilitated, then you either need to keep him or you need to stop him from being out in public. You don't just take the rights away from the law.
Everybody else, because then that guy, the repeat offender, won't have access to something to be a repeat offender, right?
Yeah,
I get
either
it.
keep him or kill him, but you cannot just let him go on the people in his neighborhood. And they keep saying this over and over again, but it's the easiest way to do things is treat a criminal like a criminal. Don't just make things against the law.
And then when a criminal is rehabilitated, because there are some that they made a bad choice.
You go in,
you come back out, and you're done.
You're all done. They could
should
trust you and everything. Now you should have all your rights restored. And whatever you were able to do prior to that, you should be allowed to do it again. And there's some of this. So they take and they punish the everyday law abiding, and then they punish the infrequent visitors to the criminal justice system, and they don't punish the frequent flyers of the criminal justice system. Right. The one case they have now where I can't even think of what the name it is, but when they get a restraining order against someone, and they take his gun away from him. Well, the guy that's in this case, he's a repeat offender, felon multiple times, all this stuff. So he shouldn't have had a gun in the first place. But the fact is, Bruin's going to say that they can't take his gun away from him for this. Well,
actually, in the case that they've got is he's not a great guy, but he was only through the criminal reform system one time. The rest of it was just threats and accusations.
But
And
it's still the thing that Bruin's going to see is the fact that this guy, because his girlfriend or his wife or whatever is mad at him and puts this restraining order on, he really didn't do anything, so he's not guilty of anything. He's not been charged with anything, and so they're taking his rights on her say-so, even though he did not do anything to cause them to do this. So that there's no causation in here to make them take his rights away from him. So when this passes, and they're going to say, well, yeah, he's allowed to have the gun, and they can't.
There are going to be people who are going to lose their minds because of that.
But it's so straightforward. But there again, like I say, treat the criminal as a criminal, and if he cannot be trusted, then don't let him back out of jail. But it's this stuff
once you've let him out, then you say he's allowed to be back in society, and this is incorporated in back into society. So right now that there is the pistol brace, we've heard this whole battle about the pistol brace.
Well, this is the one too that Biden's Department of Justice actually took this to the Supreme Court. They weren't getting satisfactory results from the lower courts.
From the lower courts, and
so
the lower courts
they want the Supreme Court to look at this and make it stop. Well, it too is not going to stop because it's not any of the parts that they say to convert a machine gun into a machine gun.
So they're going to end up. So they've said that they're going to come back and listen to it next week. So next week it's supposed to come back.
Right after this, they have those forced reset triggers. I don't know if you've seen that. That's also making its way through the court.
So bump stocks, pistol braces, and forced reset triggers are kind of like the three hot buttons.
The way the thing reads about a machine gun is that it fires more than one shot with the pull of a trigger. Well, this forced reset trigger, it too only allows you to fire one shot, and then it forces the trigger to reset, and then you pull the trigger a second time, but it happens just so fast that you don't realize that it's happening.
Well, yeah, but it is happening. It's a singular trigger
so
pull.
Mechanically, when you look at it, it's working as a semi-automatic. It's just because your body motion is so slow, you get a couple shots out of it before you can let go or whatever you decide to do with that.
Right. So it's really gonna be interesting. And so I heard somebody was complaining that the Bruin decision had something about the safety of the community in it. And so they're saying now that everything that they're trying to take away from us, the rights they're trying to restrict, they're saying it's for the safety of the community. And so they're trying to use that little poison pill, and that's not gonna.
They keep changing the rules, so we go from assault weapons to assault rifles to assault.
Well, it started as assault rifles, and then it went to assault weapons, so they could expand the
then they add
scope.
In pistols and other things, so everything's all inclusive at this point. But it's just the word game that they're playing, and that now that they've gone to public safety or community outreach or whatever it is,
right? The whole community safety thing. It's.
If they read Bruin as it's written and they read the Constitution as it's written, there's a lot of the stuff is going to go away, folks. You're going to find out that it's going to take it a while because the courts are full of people with a lot of your money, and they're going to.
Okay, and you're not wrong there. It's really funny because the people who are fighting against Bruin are also a lot of the people that are sitting in the school of thought that the Constitution needs to be a living document, that we've evolved. And because we've evolved, that means that the Constitution needs to evolve along with us. And so
if you look at the Constitution and how did it go from 1787 to cover space travel and cell phones and
because they argued, if you read the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers, you nor I would have enough intestinal fortitude to be involved in the arguments that they were involved in, to where words have meanings and they pick each word.
You have to look at what is me.
They picked every word carefully, and they went through it. And I'd be like, okay, fine, I roll over. I never mind.
But who today thinks of it deeply enough to see how they can write it,
or wants to stay in the fight for that long?
It can be so precise yet so ambiguous that it can be either or everything, all of the above.
Right.
And,
it's just going to be interesting because, guys, the 1934 Gun Control Act, so the NFA. So I was talking to Tom King from the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, and I was like, I believe, as I read Bruin, that the NFA is unconstitutional, and the entire thing is unconstitutional, and I think that Bruin will take it away. And Tom King was like, I don't think, and I'm paraphrasing him because I don't remember exactly the words, but it was, I don't think that America is ready for us to just waive the NFA and take it away. That there will be so many people in righteous indignation. But if we take each piece of it and identify and look at that piece will not stand. And so that each little piece, so if you look at the NFA and you say it's a box full of rules, they're going to pull out a rule and say, not this one.
As much as we're saying it's about these bump stocks and SIG braces, it's actually, the focus is on short-barreled rifles. So if they say that this SIG brace does not make this a short-barreled rifle, then why do we even have a rule on short-barreled rifles? And so that's going to come under attack and possibly be ejected from the basket.
Right.
And then
so they pick it up and they're like, okay, I think we're talking about this one. Yep. Nope. It's not going to stay. Crunch it up. Throw it over your shoulder. Okay. Right. It's out. Right.
And then they'll go on to the next one. And suppressors are getting to be so popular. Right. I believe suppressors too are not long for this basket.
I think so too. I think that it's going to be a case of just watching to see what's happening. But right now, the ATF is saying, oh, golly, they're trying to take stuff out of our basket.
But
we need to add new stuff to the basket. So they're trying to add bump stocks to the basket. They're trying to add forced reset triggers to the basket. They're trying to add pistol braces to the basket. And so the NFA basket has been sitting there since 1934.
The more things they keep trying to add to it, the more they make people look at the basket itself.
Right.
And so the basket itself could be in jeopardy as a whole.
Oh, I think there's a hole in the basket.
But the problem that you also have is there's a huge contingent of collectors who have original Tommy guns and Maxim guns.
So they have a financial reason, even though they're pro-2A people, they have a huge financial reason why they want to keep.
They have put their money into these things at astronomical amounts of money. And so if all of a sudden you can start making brand new ones again and everybody can just buy one over the counter, is the original Maxim going to be worth that kind of a premium?
I think in the long run, yes. But I think that in the short term, I think that their price will dip down and then it'll come back to where you have a kind of like magazines, the pre-94, post-94, that kind of stuff. I think that there will be a place in there, but right now,
fight from that side though, due to the fact that they're looking at losing a pretty good portfolio.
Right now, I'd be selling my stuff. I would, because I'm not going to live long enough for it to come back up in value. But if I'm looking at my grandkids, they'll be fine. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, I have things slightly out of order because I didn't do the history section when I was supposed to. I don't know. I got excited about some article and moved on. I just moved on. So for those
What
of
are
you
we talking about today, Brain?
So for those of you who keep track of when the history section is, it's 2 sections ago, but okay. But we're all good. We are absolutely all good. And so I wanted to talk about the Beretta 92. So if it has 92 in its number, in its name, does that mean that it was designed in 1992, 1892, 1792, or was it just the, like Heinz 57, it was the 92nd design?
Something that just sounded good at the time, fit right in that number, right?
I don't know.
Well,
Tell me.
if you look at a 92 taken apart,
Yeah.
and you look at a P38 Walter,
Yeah.
they're the same gun.
Oh,
So-
but they don't look like the same gun from the outside at all.
Beretta fixed the 2 complaints that everyone had: the double stack magazine and getting that double action to smooth out a little bit on otherwise the function, the way the bolt locks, everything just the same as the P38. They just they captured it, moved on, and
That was
We
it.
got-
They were like, okay, we're taking this
Ta-da!
design.
1976, we got something new. Well, actually, the CZ75 came out in 1975, and it was they called it the Wonder 9 at that point.
Okay.
It fed almost any kind of ammo. It didn't matter to it, and it was.
So the CZ75 was the Wonder 9?
Right.
Because I've heard the term Wonder 9. I didn't know that it was from a CZ.
It was double action. It was it had a lot of full features to it, and so it was a thing. So Beretta brought out their 92, and then when the government in 85 was looking for to switch from the old 1911, they everybody put guns in. You've seen the Ruger P85s and the P85 Mark II. So that's where they were trying to get a gun that would hold up for the government
trials.
And
Okay.
stuff. And but the Beretta 92 was picked, and the government changed it to the M9 because that was the next thing in line apparently.
Okay.
So I don't know what the M8 is, but the
M9 is it. Okay. So the Beretta 92 and the M9 are the same.
Right. There may be a little bit of changes. I mean, they make a 92, and they make a 92 FS, and they make a 92 with, depending on what kind of trigger you want or safeties and all this stuff. The government wanted a certain setup, and that's what they got. The civilian market got 75 different variations because some police departments wanted a double action only gun. Some police departments only wanted a single action gun. Some people, they wanted it both ways, but without a safety. Some of them wanted it both ways with the safety.
So it turned into this. Here's the Beretta 92 with all these features that you could menu
just add
it.
an extra number on the back for FS, MJ, whatever. And
Okay, got it. Well, and then when did people start copying the Beretta 92? Because there's a lot of Beretta 92-ish.
Well, the biggest copy is the Taurus. And Taurus was a licensed manufacturer for Smith & Wesson and for the Beretta line in South America. And when the contracts ran out, they had all their tooling, and that's what they were able to make. So they built 92. I think they call them AFs. Is the Beretta, is the Taurus version, and the magazines, they look the same, but the catch piece is a little bit different. So you could make the magazine fit if you were determined, but
it's not. Okay.
So and then as you see, Taurus has changed it to 100 different variations by just adding a rib, taking a rib off, putting some armor plate on the side so it looks like a rhinoceros that shoots 9mm or whatever. So I think you got it. What is it, a 917 or something? So it's just a stainless steel version of a 92 with with a front rail or something on it.
Well, yeah. Somebody made fun of me because I said I had a Taurus that was a tech driver, and they're like, "You cannot say Taurus and tech driver in the same sentence." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you want to try it?"
I've seen a couple of Tauruses that shoot like nobody's business. I mean, and back in the old days when we all shot revolvers, my brother-in-law had I think it was a 696 or something Taurus, and that would compete against any Model 27 or Model 19 that you want to put it up against. It was amazing how good that gun shot.
Okay.
But some of it is the guy that's shooting. I mean, a guy who's usually very good at shooting doesn't buy a Taurus just because he's learned his lesson.
Well, yeah, there is that. And
this guy says, I have a 92 FS Inox. And that Inox was a finish. It's like a stainless steel type finish. So it was in a silverish plate thing. They were a good looking gun. But I don't know exactly what the details of the Inox were, besides that it looks like stainless steel, but it's not.
I had so the Taurus. I don't have the Taurus. It's not my Taurus. I am telling you right now, I married the Taurus. That's what happened. So by default, it is my Taurus, only because it's owned by my significant other. But it was and now I have to go find a new gun because he's like, "You're shooting my gun. Stop shooting my gun." Well, you don't shoot your gun, so why can't I shoot your gun? But okay, anyhow.
You'll wear it out. That's why.
There is that. It's like, where are you taking my gun? What's it doing? Right? Well, it's putting holes in paper.
So
but
why don't you just buy another Taurus or buy a Beretta and get it over with?
That's the question. So do I buy another Taurus and then take a chance on getting a good one or not? It's really funny because when you look at it, Taurus's quality hit or miss? Is that why it's got that reputation? Or is it, as you said, good shooters don't buy Tauruses, so Taurus has a bad reputation solely because it's not the go-to for
right. Once you have some experience about buying a gun, you normally don't buy a Taurus. You
walk away from it. So I don't know. I'm in a conundrum because I need a full size
5 Tauruses and then like Tuco in the movies and put the best parts of all of them together and make it work and then sell the other 4.
Sort of like I did with the. I had a Walther P22 like that. Walther had. We're getting off topic, but it was a cool topic. Walther had these really cool colored guns. And they had this lemon lime carbon fiber grid looking gun. And I wanted it in the Walther P22 with a long barrel and found out that they don't offer the long barrel. And so it really isn't it's a longer barrel, but it's also whatever that end is. What's the end?
It's like a little barrel weight that they put on to make it look like a target pistol.
So it's got a longer barrel and it's got this barrel weight. So it's like a little black end to it. And I was like, I really want the lemon lime, but I want the longer barrel. And so Rob's like, I got it. Just buy 2 and we'll take it apart and put them together. And we did that. And then I sold a now short barreled black one back into the market. It's free ranging as whatever it now feels like it is. So somebody says, just go buy a Beretta. I may buy a Taurus. I may actually buy a FN. I don't know what I'm going to buy yet, but I need a full size 9mm. So because of
like
marital bliss,
the one picks the wizard. You'll one day you'll pick something up, and that's what you're going to buy. I am shooting an FNS. I was not an FN guy, and I like this one, so I bought it, and it works out well for me.
I have talked to that FN 509 Elite. That one is kind of that is kind of a wand that is going, hey wizard, come over here and look at me. But I'm not positive that that's going to be it. But you're right. I contemplate and I think about it, and then one day one of them will call my name and you'll like, you just bought that. What's the deal? We'll be back.
Awareness Coalition, and what do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
People use a firearm in self-defense. They could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
So, Rab, one of the things that you were talking to me about off air was the Caltech P50. So, tell folks why you are newly enamored with that.
Well, somebody posted this Caltech P50 pistol. It looks like something science fiction-y. It takes a PS90 magazine. It shoots that little 5.7x28 bullet that they say is like a Superman bullet, but in reality it's a 22 Magnum. It's overpriced.
Okay, it's an overpriced 22 Magnum, but yeah, okay, got it.
But anyhow, this thing holds 50 rounds. It's pretty reliable, so that all 50 rounds are going to go off without having issues like you would with a 22 Magnum.
Okay.
And the one that they were showing had a little side folding stock. So I'm like, if you need a gun if you wanted a gun in your truck,
if you need it. So is it considered a pistol or is it considered a long gun?
I think that's in that Sig Brace bump stock thingamajigger.
It's in that other category. It's in that box. It's in the okay.
So it's a pistol with this thing on it, and
it's a teenager. It's a pistol with an adult complex.
So
right?
you just need a way to stick it to the roof of your truck so that it's out of your way till you need it.
Well, I mean, when you think about it and you say that, it's kind of funny, but it's not. Have you seen the headboard of the beds that are designed with that push-in level?
It has the shotgun just tilt out to you.
Yeah, so you push it. It's got a panel, and the panel pops back or something.
It comes down and knocks your teeth out.
Well, I think the panel goes back and it knocks it out of its thing, and then
the wife in the head when it goes out.
I think that if you have to have a long gun in the middle of the night, she's not going to care if she got clunked on the way because where is it? We got it. We're good, right? But no, I mean, so
that's the thing. As things go, more and more people are carrying a gun all the time. I mean, if you have something that can extend your "don't talk to me" range out to 50 or 75 yards without a problem, and it's small enough, you could strap it on your leg, or you could stick it to the roof of your
throw it in your backpack, whatever. Right?
I see that it's handy in that feature. I mean, it may not be the most powerful thing. It may not be the best thing, but it's better than no thing.
But nothing. Got it. So I don't know how it's classified. So the Caltech P50, if somebody could tell us how it's classified, that would be way cool because I didn't do that.
A pistol until you put until
you flip the stock out, and then
I don't know.
So do you?
Sure. But,
okay, I don't know. I mean, it depends on which city.
It's time to go to the gun shop and look around again. I might need something new this week.
there we go. Oh, okay, we are back to that. Yeah. So did you see the article that just came out? This was a Dave Workman article on AmmoLand. That is that the congressional Democrats are demanding gun control. And so they are they're saying that there's a gun violence prevention task force, and that Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, needs to pay attention to it, and that he needs to schedule some
they're
votes.
Trying to put $1,000 tax on all assault rifles and high capacity magazines.
I don't think I saw that the Mark Smith, the Four Boxes Diner podcast guy, he was talking about it in the fact that if you cannot tax voting and you cannot tax other constitutional acts, that to tax a specific gun because you own it would also be meet in that unconstitutional range. It's not going to stop them from trying.
It still keeps the lawyers in lots of money.
It's not going to stop them from trying. It's just going to stop them from succeeding.
It'll keep you confused for the next 5 years while you're trying to decide if a Sig Brace or a bump stock are legal or not.
Right. Well, there is that. And so the Democrats are doing the little mantra of if it only saves one life, then the rest of the world
we pay attention more than most about this stuff. So the Sig Brace, the bump stock, all this stuff, it's in the news once in a while. This is unconstitutional, that's constitutional. You can fight back and forth. You can see why they say that when they talk to some of the inner city blacks that they think that it's illegal for them to own a gun.
They really think that based on the fact that they are talking to their politicians and their politicians don't want anybody to own a gun. They
think it's
there is
against
a
the law
belief
for them. When
they can't
when they
have
find
one.
out that they actually can go down and buy a gun, that's shocking to them. And
Right. It really is. I mean, and I think that's one of the reasons why the program that Rick Ector does in Detroit, where the ladies shooting event, the value of the programs of that program being picked up and carried, I know for sure that it is going to be carried into about an hour south of Chicago in Illinois. They're going to start doing it. I know Philadelphia is talking about it, not the city of Philadelphia, but someone who lives in Philadelphia, because the city would not talk about it. But
right,
yeah,
but the thing is, you need at least a range, or if not
and
a
a
couple
champion.
of range, and some a group of people that are willing to help. And
right, so a champion. And I know that there was one of the instructors who met Rick Ector at NRA, came to Rick Ector's event because he liked what Rick stood for and what Rick was doing. And he's in Jacksonville, Florida, and he was talking about it again in his community. So I think that is the beauty of what Rick is doing, is that it is what is the word? It is not multipliable, but that it can be franchised, sort of.
It is applicable to each city, so you can move it around. You just make sure you have enough people. You have to find someplace where you can borrow the guns from and get enough money to pay for ammo and range time and stuff.
Our video producer says the word I'm looking for is scalable. That would be probably more apropos than any of the words that were coming to my mind. So I'll take that. I will absolutely take it. So so if you have an opportunity right now and you have a relationship with your congressman, send them a letter and tell them that you do not want them to roll over and give in to the gun control action demands that the left is right now pushing for. So just in general, let them know that you are paying attention, that you are listening, and that you say no, enough, done. I'm done with you. I'm done with that. I don't want to see it. I don't want you to vote for it. I don't want you to support it.
Did you see where the NRA now is falling from grace, and the anti-gun crowds are after the?
I don't think it's falling from grace. I think that they think that they've won, and so now they're picking the next largest group. So
they're going after the National Shooting Sport Foundation because they say that they're actually more heinous than the NRA ever was.
Well, it's because the NRA has been diligently fighting off the New York Attorney General, and so because of that, all of a sudden they are not spending nearly as much money on politics and supporting issues and supporting different politicians. So in that aspect, the NSSF has stood up because they created a few years ago a PAC to do what the NRA was also doing. And so there for a while, they were in communication with one another as to who was doing what in what arena.
That's right, because possibly the NSSF's greatest offense is its annual shooting, hunting, and outdoor trade show held in Las Vegas. We talked about this on the show plenty of times.
The SHOT Show, Shooting, Hunting, and Outdoor Trade Show, is amazing. and because it is so amazing, it is very well attended, and it is very educational.
It's considered by many the biggest firearms industry trade show in the country, if not the world.
Yes.
We have met actually people from Germany and from France and a couple other places.
So that they come from all over the world to see the stuff that's there, and there are big sections of importers and folks who are running companies that support.
Right, so
in
the Italian
shifting.
gun companies are there. Different. I know the Belgians have some different target manufacturers and some ammunition manufacturing equipment that they have for sale.
So there's all of that, and then there's the small little cubes of the importers. And so you'll go to the show, and there's great big giant booths, and then there's these little 10 by 10 booths that's got 3 or 4 people and an interpreter, and it's pretty interesting, pretty cool. Well, we'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
So I'm going to start to tell you guys, I'm predicting the future. Watch me. I'm putting on my Carmack the Magnificent hat. I'm going to do my best Johnny Carson impression. I'm going to take the envelope. I'm going to put it up against my forehead. And I am going to tell you that the Firearms Policy Coalition and the Second Amendment Foundation will be filing lawsuits on Monday. Why do I think that? Why do I believe that I know the future?
Because it goes into effect on Monday, and they can't do anything until it actually steps on somebody's toes.
Exactly. That's one of the crazy parts about a law, is that you have no standing until it can impact you. So there was recently a judge in Colorado who said to people that were trying to fight in Connecticut, who said to people who were trying to fight a law in Connecticut that the chances of you being caught and the chances of this impacting you are very slim. So I'm going to tell you, you don't have standing. So in Colorado, they just passed some legislation earlier in the spring that will go into effect tomorrow on Monday. And it is some of the sweeping gun reform that are going through Colorado, but this one prohibits people from under 21 years of age from purchasing a gun. So there are a few exceptions. If you're in the armed forces and they've given you a gun, you're allowed to have that one. If you are a police officer, then you're allowed to. And people certified by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Board. So if you are training to become a police officer, those people are exempt from this. Otherwise, you are precluded from owning a firearm, from purchasing a firearm, until you reach majority at 21 years old. So Second Amendment Foundation could not file a lawsuit on a law that was coming. It had to be in place. The same thing with Firearms Policy Coalition. But I know that both of them have been watching the 21-year-old issue as a major point of contention. So I fully expect those lawsuits to be filed on Monday.
Years ago, there was a group out of Texas who was filing saying that it was unconstitutional that they weren't allowed to buy a handgun at 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of got thrown out of court over the years. But I think they got a better shot at it today if they decided to go back at it. But like I say, by now that guy's 25, so
yeah, it's moot, and he's past that, and there's that. So man, there was a point I was going to make, and now it is gone away. Whatever that point was. This is what happens when you're doing an impromptu contemporaneous show, right?
Right.
So
all of a sudden, I can't remember what it's called, or I can't remember the name.
Well, there is that, and you're like, okay. So, here's the point I wanted to make. The point I wanted to make is Colorado is not making that limitation for 21-year-olds because they believe that everybody is a threat from 18 to 21. I don't believe that. I think that what they've figured out, and what we figured out, is that you become the person you're going to be as you become an adult. And so in that becoming an adult part, so if they stop you at 18 from getting involved in firearms sports, then in that 3 years, you've taken up motorcycle riding, you've taken up golf, you've taken up females. I don't know. You've gotten new hobbies, whatever those hobbies may be. And so the chances that you're going to go back to learning how to hunt, or you're going to go back to going to the range, or they're trying by attrition to cause you not to become part of that hobby group. What do you think?
Well, it very well could be that they, by blocking you out of it, it changes your course and what you decide fun is. And
we owned a gun shop. How many in that 18 to 21-year-old age did we see? We saw a lot.
Right. We actually had a lot younger ones than that. They come in with their parents and that. And they knew all the names of the guns from the video games. They didn't know the real name. They just knew what the video game called them. So if they could bring me pictures of what they were talking about, then we could talk about what it
really was, and then go from there.
It was funny because I always had time for the kids, and the parents would be like, leave him alone. He's got work. He's got work to do. I'm like, no, this guy is the future of my industry. I want him to have a huge gun collection and know what he's talking about. And
I want him to be active and engaged and informed. See, and that's what I think Colorado is doing. Is I think that they're trying to get them out of that active and engaged and informed completely. I mean, they've gone after video games and said that shooting video games are really bad, and so there's that group of people. They're trying to pull that away. So it's that if we tell everybody that this is bad, then there will be a spot where, whether you believe it or not, you start to believe it. The things that you hear over and over.
Well, some of it is if you have no baseline to go off of, you don't know if it's good or bad or not. Anyhow. And so it's just easy to go with what someone else tells you.
And just to move on to something else. I mean, it's sort of like, I think it's like stick shift cars. They're at one point everybody had a stick shift car. Now hardly anybody does. And
if you live in the city and you don't never need a car, you always use the bus. Pretty soon you don't even look at the car, stick shift or not, or a hot rod or any of that, because it's not normal to you. You don't have a garage, you don't have a use for driving the car or doing anything with it. Pretty soon now you just got a bus ticket.
That's it. And then you start calling your friends or you Uber, right? Because you cannot get around otherwise. And if you don't have a car, but I think it's that. I mean, are you seeing the valet signs that say no stick shifts allowed? Because their valet drivers can't.
I volunteered to valet park for us. Somebody brought me a Prius. I couldn't figure out how to move it.
Well, there was
sit right there.
There was that, but the kids that were helping us valet park were like, we watched a YouTube video on driving a stick shift. We're good. No, you're not.
And they sent the video to each other so that they all got.
So they all got to watch the video, and it was like, no, that's you. No, we'll just say you cannot learn to drive a stick shift via watching a video without bucking your way across the parking lot because you let the clutch out wrong. Right? That's a life experience that you have to experience, and then you'll be better for it. We'll be back.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com. a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, well, there is a sheriff in Florida who is walking the talk, walking the walk, and talking the talk. He, as Florida just passed their constitutional carry, there are some people who are saying, well, look at this. Now they don't need firearm safety classes. And if they don't need firearm safety classes, how are they ever going to get safe? And how are they ever going to know? And how are they ever going to... And so though you and I know that even if you take a concealed carry class, it's not enough. You need to continue to take training, keep your skills, go to the range, practice, all of that kind of stuff. Well, there is a sheriff, Mike Chitwood from Volusia County, and his agency is offering free classes because he thinks that there's some first-time gun owners and that they may not know how to properly handle a gun, and so he's willing to teach them. And I just want to say good on him, absolutely good on him. And I think that is a great way to stand for the Second Amendment, is that invite somebody to the range, teach them how to do it.
If they had a range and they just let people come in and shoot with the sheriff for a couple hours a week or whatever, it'd be a big plus too.
It would be, right? It would be all of that. I just think it's a great idea. I am going to share this with my sheriff here in Ohio because we too have constitutional carry. But you guys can go to this was a Tom Knighton article in Bearing Arms, and so you could go get the article and share it with your sheriff if you're in a constitutional carry state. Because sometimes you don't have to have an original idea. You just steal the one that somebody else had because you're like,
they already worked the bugs out of it.
Right. Imitation is the best form of flattery, and we are going to imitate you. We are going to duplicate you, and we are going to help support whatever that is. I think it's a great idea.
Maybe. Did you see the what the news media keeps blaming all these mass shootings on everything, but then it comes right down to it. There was one just a couple weeks ago where the one group said that the guy was he had all the right stuff to be a serial killer. He had a ski mask, an AR-15 style rifle, a 9mm handgun that was untraceable ghost gun.
He wore body armor, right?
And then to find dueling narratives, it says CNN was told you that this guy, he wanted it to clean up the neighborhood, and he's since deleted his social media page showing that he was Donald Trump follower and all this stuff. So since it's all gone, no one can take their word for it.
Right, but earlier people had looked at it and taken
But yeah,
pictures.
there was another group that tells the same. Let's see where they tell you who the group was here, but New York Post. Meanwhile, over at New York Post, they claim the killer is a BLM activist who
wore women's clothes. We saw those pictures,
and they had pictures to back up.
And they had the creepy photos. They had that, and
I seen the photos, and then all of a sudden it comes back.
It all goes back.
It was gone. And
right, and the interesting part is that there is that website called the Wayback Machine where you can go get stuff, even if they clean this up. That there is a way to get to see it, but it's really funny. The narrative is whatever they want the narrative to be. So my understanding is that dude that was involved in the shooting, he wanted more stringent gun control laws, and so he thought that by planning and enacting a mass shooting, that it would drive the narrative that this was what was needed. And so
it was one of those things where it was in the news for a couple of days and then it was completely gone, and you didn't hear anything else about it.
Who leads the news? That's the question. Who writes the news? Who leads the news?
And
so
they say, remember when Obama was saying that a kid in the city a 14-year-old could buy a gun easier than he could buy a loaf of bread or something like that. And so one of the other guys, he says he can easier than he can buy Claritin D from the CVS.
Well,
but the thing is if you look at this whole article, it's all about these gangs they get together and they shoot up the whole town. They're like at a street fair or something, and then they shoot 28 people in one night or 43 people in one night. This is not normal.
Not normal behavior. I was listening to there was a gal from one of the agencies that was it was Chicago. And so it was one of the Chicago inner city agencies, and she's talking about how bored teenagers are part of the problem, and so they're just going to have to get them a little busier. And it was the interesting part is that she was from a group the group has taken anti-gun stands, and yet her statements supported an issue that said that it's the crime that is the problem. It is the people creating the crime that is a problem, that it wasn't necessarily a gun problem. It was a teenage problem and a gang problem and a boredom problem and an entitlement problem. And it was a very interesting, it was very interesting. I was captivated.
When they keep pointing out there's more and more of these gangs. I mean, a couple of years ago, some of the gang members they were asking them where they got this stuff from. They said that the government actually gives them their guns. So these gangs are being fed the weaponry by the CIA and the FBI and that, and then they.
And that's their story. Can you and if you're saying, oh, that can't be true.
It's because you heard it from a criminal in the first place.
Right.
So
can you trust the criminal? Right?
What's the best way to do something is to be outright and in your face about it.
Or make it so unbelievable that even if the truth does come out, it's unbelievable. But the other part is you end up with the whole straw purchase thing. Chicago has a huge issue with they've got plenty of money, and so with money you can get anything you pretty much want. Look at the war on drugs. Tell me that we've said guns are illegal or drugs are illegal, so that should have solved the problem, right?
In the last 6 months, there's been a couple of different locations where people have blown themselves up with hand grenades. I mean, hand grenades are illegal, but yet here in the general public, people have them. It's one of the things it's public, it's nature, human nature. You get your hand on one, it's like Mickey Mouse. It's like I may need this for later. I'll put it in my little bag for some rainy day, and then finally I expire, and
the next person is like, what is this?
He inherits this, and it doesn't understand to treat it with respect. And
so is that what's happening? Is that it's somebody's finding it in Dad's stuff, or is it?
The one group, the ATF said that somebody had bought one at a yard sale or something like that, and they said that they had like 8 or 10 of them to choose from, and they had bought one and then later blew themselves up with it. And then the other one, the kid was, I think it was up in northern Ohio here by the lake. He was in a garage or something messing around, and they believe he found a hand grenade and blew himself up in the garage. But those were two that come to mind right away, and that's within the last 6 months has happened.
Now, see, and it's not even on my radar, so I don't know that I've heard one to think about it. I mean, because that always brings me back to the blasting caps that my neighbor had when they had to evacuate the community.
You see people like where they're doing that metal detecting down, especially like in the Civil War area down there, and they'll find the one guy had a whole big stack of bullets that he pulled out of a river, and found out that they were all live, that they were parrot gun ammo with exploding projectiles, and
that somehow the boat sunk or something. Is that?
They think that when the war was over, this guy's like, I'm tired of carrying this stuff, so you just sit in the river.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't need these no more. I'm getting rid of my 50 pounds of.
Well, and when you look at the Civil War, I mean, when the war was over, it wasn't like, oh, well, the troops got picked up and taken home. It was, okay, dude, see ya, and now you don't get a paycheck, and make your way home.
Your horse.
It's ours, military property, and make your way home. I mean, so think about it. You have 500 miles, 1,000 miles, something to walk. Now you have no pay, no food, no job, no means of.
Right. A lot of them didn't keep their gun or anything. They kept the horse.
And
right when toward the end of the war, a lot of them realized the war was ending. They just took off for home while they still had all their stuff because
well, and then the other side, wherever you are, whether you're on the winning side or the losing side, there are people who are not feeling very fond of you.
Right.
Right. So your uniform is not an asset.
Between the fact that your uniform all of a sudden sets them off, and then two, sometimes even though the war may be over, the farther west you went, the longer it took for news of that to get there. So they didn't believe you when you told them the war.
So
was
you
over.
maybe believe it's over, but
they may not.
They're not buying it. Right? There's a lot of pretty interesting stuff.
I had read an article one time in Germany, actually, after the war. It was into the 1947 before the snipers stopped shooting GIs on the street.
Because they then finally understood that the war was over.
Or they just finally gave up, decided they'd lost.
Something. Okay, so yeah, even though the war was over, we're not done fighting. We're done. So there you go. We'll be back right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com. a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Well, we've started the show talking about Bruin. Let's end the show talking about Bruin, because let's fill this segment with it. There are writers that have been criticizing the Supreme Court decisions, and they've criticized them based on the fact that they just don't like it. And so the whole article is that they should the Supreme Court shouldn't go this way because I don't like it. They're talking about the founding fathers were worried about the government taking more and more power until it became tyrannical. And they wanted to make sure that people had the ability to resist this tyranny. And people are like, okay, that's fine. But there are societal problems like gun violence that we need to deal with first. And it's like, well, no, the government tyranny is probably a bigger problem than a societal gun violence problem, because the societal gun violence problem is really a criminal reform problem. And they didn't have criminal reform issues then because they dealt with them in the first place.
You see this, it happens in this inner city. It doesn't happen out in the country. And a lot of it is because the country won't settle for that. We'll deal with it ourselves if we have to.
And you hear many, many stories of really that. So there is a writer who is sitting on his computer, writing an article, publishing it on the internet, talking about the hypocrisy of the fact that the court is not locking in all guns as of the date of 1791, and that they're allowing technology to move forward.
but the same thing happens in the First Amendment when they talk about printing presses and
that's the
stuff
point.
Like
He's sitting on a computer, publishing it on the internet, using his First Amendment right, and then complaining that the Second Amendment right has evolved in a point about technology and which guns are available and how those guns are available. So it's kind of funny as how that all is going together. Right? I mean, so anyhow, it's the whole idea. I just don't like it. I don't like it. And because I don't like it, the Supreme Court needs to listen to me. Because
there's so many things that this is going to change. You've seen where the judges were complaining because they don't have any way of knowing what the laws were in 1791. Well, I'm sure they do. They have an idea of who was charged with what crimes then, and for what, and what their response was. And
there's a law library, and
so they just need to have their minions go read what.
They should, and since there's the internet, I mean, you and I can go back and read things. They too could, but they're not going to. So here's a guy who may become the next poster case for the Bruin decision, because there is a Californian who lives in the Bay Area who was a convicted felon who isn't allowed to own a gun, who is utilizing his gun and his cell phone camera and his car to drive around the neighborhood and post pictures of himself with his gun on Instagram in his community.
So wouldn't his freedom of speech and his First Amendment rights keep all that stuff off from being a problem in the first place?
I think that until someone becomes the poster case in Bruin to say that convicted felons, once they've served their time, are then allowed to have all of their rights restored. But currently that's not the case. And so he doesn't have his rights restored. He now has been given 5 more years of crime because his parole officer went to his house, found 60 loose bullets, a loaded pistol, and multiple magazines for that pistol in his house. And so this is that thing where periodically you're like, oh, if you've got something like that, don't take pictures of it. Dude, you took pictures of it. You have a probation officer. Your probation officer probably follows.
Because they turn themselves in like that. I mean, I've seen them where they go out and shoot something at a public range, and people, they can recognize the range, and then they recognize other things. And
the people in the place, and they're like, yeah, no, this is not.
Pretty simple to track the guy down at that point.
Exactly. So this dude is 25 years old, had been in jail, and now he's going back for another 5 years and 3 months in federal prison because he needed to be Instagram famous.
Instagram famous.
I think he became Instagram famous. I think that's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you wanted to be famous and now you are.
Well, there's a lot of that stuff.
We're talking about you, so you're famous.
Yep, I guess.
Right?
Crazy, huh?
I don't know. I don't get it, but okay.
Oh, so you got paperwork here where the DOJ had sent the ATF frame and receiver rules to them about the ghost guns. They want to nail down this ghost gun thing.
So they want to fast track it. So they have asked the Supreme Court to skip all the other courts and fast track it to the Supreme Court.
One of the, I don't know if it was in this article, one of the articles I was reading there was like, what would the founding fathers think about the fact that you could just buy all these gun parts and assemble them at home? I'm like, that's how they did it back when they were.
What would the founding fathers think? They would think that I'm building a Kentucky rifle at my kitchen table.
They'd say that Amazon is amazing, that you can just have it shipped right to your house without having to go nowhere.
That I don't have to use the Pony Express. that I don't have to go down to Paul Revere's little shop and have him make me a lock. And it's all right here, and they deliver. UPS is fabulous. Look at this. Yep. You
Things
know?
are much better than they were in 1791.
Right. When they say, what would they think? They would think, this is cool. Right. But they're used to building their own guns. So they're not used to serialization. They're not used to gun control. They are used to all this. So 1791.
They spent 2 days just playing with the Dremel tool thinking, we needed one of these back in the day.
Right. Look at this. It's a file on steroids.
Yeah.
And wait, I plug it into the wall and then it does magic stuff? Because
magic stuff.
Right? I think the DOJ, this is that spot where a group of people
Think they know what's best for you?
well, and they only talk to themselves. And so they all are in agreement that this is not right. And then when they get out in the general population and somebody says something, they're like, wait, we didn't think of that. That's kind of what this is. This is that spot where if you only run with a certain group of people and everybody thinks like you, you don't challenge any other thoughts. Because you are, yep, you're right. Oh, you're so smart, right? And that's just kind of where that goes. And I personally think that they are going to be the Department of Justice.
Banked, I think it's the word you're looking for.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to be handed their hat and they're going to walk away with it in tatters. But okay, yeah, spanked would also be a good thing. And so Tuesday, August 8th is when they're going to start to kind of talk about this. But you'll see next week. Hopefully by next week we will have more information.
I wonder if somebody owns the name Ghost Gun, we could start making guns and sell them as ghost guns.
Oh my God, the manufacturer, if that were your
Everybody
manufacturer.
already knows about you and everything.
Right.
Government spent so much money.
You could have like a Casper logo,
Yep.
just sort of Casper, but not quite Casper, just
Right.
enough that you knew it was a ghost, right?
Right.
You
could play on some of the whatever the Ghostbusters type stuff, and
you use that music, right? You come up to the website, So stay tuned. We'll fill you in next week.
Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. Realize FAC